Hey guys, Dwayne here. Today I want to talk a little bit about no longer being Mr. Nice Guy. This has come up in discussion with Alex and with Joe in the last couple of interview videos, and just going back over some of the legal stuff. One of the things that we need to realize is that when we approach this and we try to be accommodating and we try to be nice and we try to make things less complicated, we can actually set ourselves up into a situation to where we put ourselves at a disadvantage. So every moment that we underestimate the narcissist, we lose ground, we lose position, right? And the one thing that we need to understand is that they will continue to do everything in their power to undermine our position. They will at one point, or not at one point, but they will, to your face, try to give you the illusion that everything is okay. They might even start the whole thing out thinking that you can do an uncontested divorce and it'll be simple. And that's what we would want to do, right? That's the direction that we would want to go, to minimize cost, to make things easier, to make it less complicated, and to make it less difficult. And I was talking about this in the live stream yesterday, where we have to detect as quickly as possible when we are dealing with somebody who is emotionally abusive and basically not genuine. And as soon as we do that, as soon as we make that determination, or as soon as we suspect that that's what we're dealing with, we have to take action. We have to take steps to protect ourselves, to protect our position, to protect our relationship with our children. And it's critical that we do that. Now, this is a difficult process because typically, and I've talked about this before, if you don't necessarily understand what you're dealing with, or you're not ready to believe it, like I said, every moment that you're doing that, every moment that you think you're dealing with a genuine person, they are making progress to basically set you up. And that can be done through smear campaigns. It can be done through triangulation with your children, trying to do parental alienation or divorce poisoning. I mean, depending on whatever you want to call it. And all those things, they add up, right? And they make our position more complicated and more difficult. And then what happens is we get we get blindsided by the situation. And then we start making emotional decisions, or we're reacting to the situation instead of dealing with it in a more reasonable approach. Now, this is the other part of it that's really critical. And that's when you understand what you're dealing with. And it can be painful, right? If you might be completely blindsided and just a wreck because of what's happening, but you have to recognize it and then take those steps to make sure that you're not putting yourself in additional harm's way, right? And what I mean by that is you can be cruising along thinking that everything is fine and that you're trying to be accommodating. And I did this exact thing. I was trying to do everything in my power to try to make this as seamless and as painless of a transition as possible. And what happened is, and I'm sure this is the same thing that's happening with you guys, is she started taking actions that were contrary to that, right? Basically, taking everything she could to try to make it into an issue or poke me in the eye on it, or however you want to talk about it. Now, one of the problems is I mean, although I did have some defenses up because people, I was naive, but I wasn't completely naive. So I didn't trust the situation. I didn't expect her to do certain things, but I wasn't absolutely convinced that she wouldn't. So I did take steps to protect myself, and that helped me immensely. And it was only because of counsel from other people and from just my own experience with other friends and family members who've gone through this on what they went through, to take those steps to try to protect myself. So when certain things started happening, I was in a little bit of a better position, because not necessarily I was anticipating narcissistic behavior, but I was anticipating the potential for negative behavior. Now, and I was able to not necessarily take the bait. That is critical when going through this. And what I would say is, if you're in a situation and you are and you think that you are making agreements and you're making plans that appear to be reasonable. Now, that doesn't mean you turn around and you start going on the offensive that particular instant, that particular moment, but you need to watch for any trouble signs. And then as soon as that happens, as soon as you realize that you're dealing with somebody that is unreasonable, that is not genuine, that is not actually going to work with you for the good, well, not for the good of the divorce, but for the good of the children and being fair, then you have to immediately take steps to modify your position. And when that happens, one of the first things that you need to realize is that communication and interaction with an NPD-X is counterproductive. It does not serve a purpose. When you are in this situation, and as soon as you realize that they will not negotiate, that they will not, that they're more invested in the drama of the situation as opposed to having a reasonable outcome, you need to you need to minimize contact with the ex. If you have an attorney, which at this stage of the game, at the beginning stages, you more than likely do, and you direct everything through them, do not allow them to engage with you. Do not have conversation or arguments or discussions that literally will not go anywhere. And because all that they're getting out of it is they're getting narcissistic supply. That is what their goal is. Their goal isn't to have a reasonable outcome. Their goal isn't to come up with a parenting plan that is beneficial to your children and to both of you. It is all about emotional dysregulation and control, and that control isn't necessarily it's even as simple as just being able to control your emotions, just being able to push your buttons to get you angry and to get you to react. And in this situation, whenever you're dealing with the early stages of a divorce, it's perfect because everything is contentious. And so as soon as you recognize that this is what you're dealing with, like I said, force all communications through the attorney and stop any direct communication because it's counterproductive. And then you also need to change your mindset of compromising with the person, of trying to negotiate. It's a waste of time. And every time when you're, like I said, then it rolls back into trying to be nice. If you try to accommodate anything, it's counterproductive and it's not helpful. And typically what will happen is they will use everything against you. Now, they'll also use the fact if you're not accommodating to them against you, because then they'll try to say that you're not accommodating and you're not willing to co-parent, you won't communicate with them and stuff like that. So, you maintain that minimum level of communication that you have to for the good of your kids, but that's it. You don't have any other discussions. And if they want to talk about, whatever, assets or whatever, you just direct them to your attorney. And you just have to be incredibly careful and incredibly focused on what you're doing so that you don't set yourself up. And guys, it's tough. It's a tough thing to do because, especially when you start this and you're still under the illusion of what that relationship is, you're still kind of you're working in those parameters. And the sooner that we realize what we're dealing with, the sooner we can start to minimize the damage that they're doing to us and the effect that they have on us. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap this video up. If you have some things you want to add about how you were either tricked and this was used against you in the early stages whenever you were being too nice, put it in the comments below so other people can see how some of the techniques that are not the techniques, but some of the issues that other people have had to go through. And if you've done things to protect yourself, add that in the comments below as well, so that people can see, you know, the contrast of what they started out with and what they ended up with. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, please subscribe, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye.